Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am honored to be here. What a crazy Facebook Live kind of day. Holy cow, what the heck? So, as you may be aware, I had scheduled at 11 o'clock today the Navigating Change workshop. And I went to go live with the Navigating Change workshop. And I had some very strange experiences with Facebook Live that I've never had before. And so I was not able to go live in the event. And I fiddled around with that for a bit. And I was like, this is strange, but obviously not me. But then I thought, let me go to my personal page and go live from there. Nope, same exact issue, same exact message. Went to my business page. Let me try to go live from there. Nope, can't do it. So I said, let me stream from Zoom. I can stream from Zoom. Started to stream from Zoom. It was a little weird streaming from Zoom as well. But I did end up just doing the workshop just now, streaming from Zoom. So here's what I'm going to do, everyone. I'm going to do the workshop again. We are going to do it back to back, no problem for those who join. Greetings, Linda. Welcome. So glad to have you here. Now, I will tell you that indeed there is on my Facebook page, on my profile, there is indeed the replay of the Navigating Change workshop that I just did. So the Navigating Change workshop that I just did streamed live from Zoom because of the massive Facebook challenges. So after I finished that, I went to clean up and I thought, let me just see if I can now go live on Facebook. Gosh darn it, yes, I can. Now, I still cannot go live in the event. For whatever reason, that was still a glitch. So I tried to go live in the event and could not do that. But I said, let me see if I can go live on my own personal page. Boom, here we are. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to do the workshop again. So thanks for being here. Linda, Kristen, Courtney, so honored to have you here. Please feel free to drop it in the comments for me. Let me know where you are in the world right now. And let me know one thing that you're grateful for in the comments. I'd love to hear something that you are grateful for. I am very grateful that I was able to record the workshop for you, and that is available. It will also go up on the YouTube channel. So it's available for you, but I'm grateful that I can join you and offer another workshop again. So I'm super excited to have you here and want to say thank you so much. I'm really grateful for that. So the Navigating Change workshop is talking all about navigating change, any kind of change that we might have in our lives, whether it's a big change, a small change, or it's a change that we want to make. So drop it in the comments for me if you have ever experienced a change, a life change. Drop it in the comments for me. Courtney, sending blessings to beautiful Illinois. Grateful for a beautiful day. It is beautiful here too, where I am in central Pennsylvania, right along the banks of the beautiful Susquehanna River. I just this weekend was out doing some planting. It's not too early to plant certain seeds. So I was getting my peas in the ground, turnips, and getting into the ground carrots. So I'm super excited for that. Welcome, welcome. Oh, Linda, thank you so much. I'm grateful for you being here. And Kristen, Spotsylvania, what a beautiful area. Absolutely grateful for you being here. Jenny, thank you for tuning in as well. Even though we are quite delayed and even though I could not go live in the event. So When I say drop it in the comments if you've had a change before, you know, when we think of change, we often think of life change on this like big grand scale where change is, something like, uh, I've gotten a divorce, or I've had the death of a loved one, or I have moved across the country. We often think of change in this big kind of way. But indeed, something as small as a change in your schedule, that's a change too. Or maybe you're at the same place of work, but maybe you've gotten a promotion. So, hey, you know, that's a change too. So, know that when we talk about change, we often think of big change, but change actually happens on the small level as well. And that small level of change is also impactful in our own lives. So, Courtney, it looks like you are no stranger to change. I love it. Yes, Kristen, absolutely. Sometimes those little changes end up having big effects. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So thank you so much for bringing it up. That is a life truth for sure. Welcome, Derek. Thank you for joining so very much. Derek, as someone who also does his own lives and does his own stuff, knows he is no stranger to technological challenges either. So I'm glad you found me, Derek. Thanks for being here. Elaine, wonderful to see you as always. So, talking about change, I want to talk about a time in my life when I had a big C change. Here comes my kitty to say hello. You want to come say hi, sweetie? She says, I want to say hi to everyone. I love when you sit and talk to that box because I know that's a time for me to come and be disruptive. Talk about change. So, I want to talk about a time when I had a big C change in my life. Big C change. And yes, Derek, it would not be a day without a technological challenge. That's for sure. Now, this one was a brand new one on me today. Never experienced it with Facebook Live, but there's a first time for everything. And thankfully, it is now fixed. So I love it, Linda, that Reiki has been an impact for you in your life. I'm going to talk a little bit about Reiki's change in my life as well. But in 2008, I had a massive life change. So in 2008, I had been in an abusive relationship for 2 years. I was in a job that was a toxic work environment. I did not have my kitty at that time to comfort me. And it was the kind of work environment in which I felt ill to go to work. I felt sick to go to work. And at the same time, also, my best friendship of more than 10 years was crumbling. And so it indeed was a very challenging time for me. Now, drop it in the comments for me if you've ever had some like crappy kind of life stuff like that, where you were like, holy cow, what do is even going on with me in my life? Holy cow, I hate my job. I'm in a terrible place. I just want to have something completely different in my life. This was me at that point in my life. And I will tell you that I was heading in the wrong direction. My life was going that way. Well, I have to say that I am so fortunate. The best thing ever happened as I was heading towards the crash, boom, in my life. I had divine intervention for sure, because all at once in my life, all at once, kaboom, major, massive change. And when I say all at once, I mean within the span of 1 month. I finally broke free from that abusive relationship. I was fired from that toxic job. thank God. It was awful. And it was clear to me that that best friendship was just simply no longer serving me. It was time to let that go. And so all at once, it was complete upheaval in my life. And I had a whole range of emotions. I had a whole range of feelings. Drop it in the comments for me. If during any of your life changes, you've had the feelings. Tell me what kinds of feelings you had. I don't know if this resonates with you, but during my massive life change, I was sad. I was angry. I was anxious. I had some feelings of depression. I, at times, was also happy and relieved and excited. And I had all of the things, all of those feelings just moving through me all of the time. One of the things that I determined to do during that time was that I was just going to sit and allow the feelings to move through me. And I wasn't going to act on any of them. So I remember sitting in my rocking chair and just feeling all of the feelings and saying, I'm going to feel the feelings and I'm not going to act on any of them. So when I want to pick up the phone and call up my ex-girlfriend and have a chat, no, I was not going to act on that feeling. And so, yes, when we feel the confusion and the frustration, the fear and the anxiety, all of those things, the mood swings every 9 minutes, the fury, the numbness, yes, yes, and yes. When you feel those feelings during a life change, it is completely normal. Now, I want to stop and I want to make sure to say this, that if during your life changes, any kind of change, you are feeling any kind of depression or undue anxiety, please do seek professional mental health counseling for that. But if you're experiencing, that whole range of feelings and emotions, completely normal to have that whole range. Now, when we have a life change that is a positive life change, we often have the idea that we're only going to experience positive feelings. Like, oh, yippee, I've just gotten this new job. I'm so excited. And then all of a sudden, we might feel angry. We might feel just kind of irritated or annoyed. And we're like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on with me? I've just had this promotion. I've just gotten this new job. Why am I feeling upset? Why am I angry or irritated? Indeed, know that it's part of the life change process. And so the number one thing I want to encourage you to do during any change, the number one thing I want to encourage you to do is to please be gentle with yourself. When you are feeling that range of emotions, when you've got all of the feelings, just ups and downs, the mood swings every 9 minutes, the left and right, the angry, the scared, the anxious, please be gentle with yourself. Please know that it's normal to experience a whole range of feelings during a life change, and be gentle with yourself as you feel those feelings. So, know that when you feel that range of feelings, boom, that's a normal part of the process. Be gentle with yourself, love yourself, give yourself compassion. Now, this change in my life, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty drastic and dramatic, right? Kind of like a butterfly when they change. Drop it in the comments for me if you have ever had a butterfly change in your life. 1 minute you're a caterpillar, poof, the next minute, WTF, you're a butterfly. What happened? Where did that come from? What was that all about? Drop it in the comments for me if you have had a butterfly change in your life. Can we get some amens, some love for the butterflies? It's actually really surprising to me. It's April. I've already started seeing butterflies here in central Pennsylvania. Holy cow, butterflies. Shout out to the beautiful butterflies. So, this butterfly kind of change in our lives is really very drastic. And caterpillar to a butterfly, kapow. That's major. That's massive change. That's transformation. Now, I want to tell you about another life change that I had in my life. One that is not quite such a butterfly. This was back in 2012. Back in 2012. You probably know the book The Secret. I'm sure you do. Drop it in the comments for me if you have read The Secret. You know, the book by Rhonda Byrne, all about manifestation and whatever. The Secret. Now, I will say that not all of the teachings in The Secret resonate with me, but I will say that one thing that really resonated with me in The Secret was this idea of decreasing our exposure to things like the news. Now, before I had read The Secret, I was a news junkie. I was consuming the news every morning. I listened to the news. I'm an auditory learner. It's also how I get my messages most commonly from spirit. And so I was listening to the news every morning, every single morning. I had been doing this for years, sometimes for 2 hours a day. And when I heard, and I was listening to The Secret as an audiobook, instead of the news while I was getting ready for work, when I heard about this idea of the impact of the news on us, I thought, oh, maybe I should not listen to the news so much either. That this is really having an impact on me that I'm not really fully appreciating. And so what I did was I stopped consuming the news. And instead of listening to the news every morning while I got ready for work, after The Secret, I started with another audiobook. And instead of listening to music in my car as I drove to work, I had another audiobook in the car. And not just audiobooks, I was reading too. At lunch, I was reading books. And these books were on topics like spiritual topics, self help topics, leadership, business, personal and professional development. And so I was consuming all of that content instead of the news, instead of the political chatter. I was not listening to it, I was tuning it out. Holy cow, what a change in my life. And so instead of listening to the news, consuming all of the doom and gloom in the world and all of the political opinions, I was reading book after book after book. Now, one book probably won't change your life. And actually, if you've got a book recommendation, drop it down below for all of us. One book probably will not change your life, but more than 10 years later, and more than 1,000 books later, maybe one book won't change your life, but 1,000 books will. And so after reading and consuming more than, at this point, it's more than 1,200 self-help, spiritual, positivity, business, leadership books, boom, that has had a major, massive change in my own life. Now, that's not a butterfly change, but that's no less powerful. And so that kind of change is indeed a glacier kind of change. You know, the kind of change that happens over a span of time, the kind of change that carves deep valleys in our lives, that creates rivers, but is happening on an incremental level that we cannot see. Drop it in the comments for me if you have had a glacier change in your own life. I will tell you that Reiki has been a glacier in my life. So often when we talk about Reiki, lots of people have had the butterfly kind of change with Reiki, where, they've been a caterpillar, here comes Reiki, poof, butterfly. And they've had a butterfly experience with Reiki. For me, Reiki has been a glacier in my life. Not a butterfly, but a glacier. It has carved deep rivers and canyons in my own life, no less powerful and no less impactful than the butterfly change. So, absolutely powerful Reiki. Thank you for those changes. So, I love that you've had the powerful glacier changes in your life too. Absolutely. It's just like when we have change that we want to make in our own lives. Drop it in the comments for me. If you want to make change, if you want to make change happen in your own life, drop it in the comments for me. If you want to move forward in some area of your life, even drop it in the comments for me if you feel stuck. Anyone feel stuck? Drop it in the comments for us if you feel stuck. Here's the thing with feeling stuck. When we have change that's happening, like the glacier, the movement of the glacier, the melting of the glacier happens drip by drip by drip and drop by drop by drop. And that change doesn't seem like it's happening, but indeed it is happening. And that change is the same kind of change that happens with an avalanche. An avalanche, we've got a big tumbling, rocks falling down, we've got a major slide, change, cataclysmic, that's butterfly, right? We think of an avalanche as kaboom, there it is, big proof, that's a butterfly going on right there, big butterfly change. But here's the thing that we don't always recognize or realize or appreciate is that before that big, massive avalanche, there is one stone that shifts just a little bit. One stone that makes one little shift. And that one single shift makes way for the landslide to occur. That one shift makes the change that leads to other shifts of other rocks, that leads to a big landslide. When you are feeling stuck, when you want to move forward in your life and you want to make change, I think it's really helpful for us to think of the avalanche and how change can and does happen with that one small shift of that very first stone. That's how change occurs. And we don't always recognize or realize that that stone has moved. If we looked up on the mountain and we saw, hey, I don't see any change happening, Christian, nothing's going on, we can't see that first stone shift just a little bit. But indeed, it has to happen for the avalanche to happen. It has to happen for the stones to fall. And so, with the tumbling of those stones, it starts with one small shift of the stone. It's the same way with the seed. The seed, before it cracks open, it feels stuck. The seed is down under the ground. The seed If you go out and look at the ground, nothing is happening. Now, I mentioned that I went out and I planted some seeds the other day. I planted some carrots, I planted peas, I planted turnips. If you went out and looked at my garden, there ain't nothing happening. It's bare ground. And we could say there's no change happening here. Nothing is happening. But down below the surface, unseen, just like that first shift of that first stone is unseen, just like the dripping of the glacier is unseen, that seed is ready to crack open. That seed is feeling too small for its shell. And that seed is feeling stuck and restless. It's shaking. It's saying, hey, I got to get out of here. This is too small. I don't feel comfortable. I'm ready to grow. When you feel stuck in your life, it's a sign, it's a signal that you are ready to grow. You are ready to push past where you are in your life. It is a sign that you have expanded to the edges of your seed and you are ready to burst out of them. And so, if you are feeling stuck right now, congratulations. Well done, because it means that you are growing past the point of your seed and you are ready to break through and expand. And that growth is happening right now on unseen levels. You can't see it happening, it's happening below the surface. And so I want you to know that when you feel that stuck feeling, when you feel that discomfort, it's a signal that, yes, well done, congratulations, you are growing, you are expanding. It's time for you to bust out and move forward. It's exciting for you for sure. And so when we want to move forward, when we feel stuck and we want to make change in our lives, it's important and helpful for us to remember that the change starts happening underground. The seed starts cracking open and blooming under the soil before we can see the evidence of it above the ground. So I want to encourage you to ask yourself, what evidence is there in my life right now of the dripping glacier? What evidence is there in my life right now of the seed cracking open underground? What evidence is there in my life right now of the one shift, of the one stone on the side of the mountain that will indeed start to cause an avalanche? We just can't yet see it happening. It's the same thing with stars. You know, the way that stars form out of nebulas, the nebula has to come together and coalesce into stars. And so that nebula coming together can seem really nebulous. We can't really see the evidence of it happening, but indeed it really and truly is. So absolutely know that the change is happening. The nebula is coming together to form stars in your own life. Now, I want to share with you, when you want to make change. I saw some comments that yes, you want to make change. Yes, you feel stuck. When you want to move forward in your life and make change, I want to share with you the number one thing that is holding you back. The number one thing that holds all of us back. So if you've ever wanted to make a change in your life, if you've ever wanted to move forward, maybe you want to run a marathon. I don't know. Does anyone here want to run a marathon? Drop it in the comments if you want to run a marathon. Maybe you want to learn a new language. I don't know if anyone here wants to learn a new language. Drop it in the comments if you want to learn a new language. Maybe you want a new job. Drop it in the comments if you want a new job. Maybe you want to start your own business. Drop it in the comments if you want to start your own business. You want to move forward and you want to make change, but you're being held back? What's holding you back? What's keeping you from moving forward with the change? There goes my kitty again. She's saying, move forward, Christian, away from that box that you talked to, and come feed me treats. Come pet me and come let me sit on your lap. Yes, sweetie, this kitty brings about some real change for sure. So, the number one thing that is holding you back from making change, and this is so normal, so natural, so common, that it's no surprise that it's the number one thing, because we all do this. You know, when that seed is sprouting under the ground, when that seed is down under the ground and it's ready to crack open, it's ready to push through the soil, that seed is not worried about what kind of flower it is. That seed is not worried about what color it is. That seed is not worried if the flowers will fit into the landscape. That sprout doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And that is the number one thing that holds us back. We care about what others will think. We worry about what others will think. Now, here's the thing: worrying, caring what others think, in and of itself is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing, because caring what other people think means that we stay out of jail. It means that we have a structured and orderly society. It means culturally that things keep moving and that we have systems in place. So, caring what other people think is not in and of itself a bad thing. As a matter of fact, when I hear people say, I don't care what anybody thinks, I think, either yes, you do, or watch out for that person. So, caring what other people think holds us back from making the changes that we want to make. We want to run a marathon, but we're afraid of what people will think as we're trying to run around the neighborhood out of breath. Maybe we want to learn a new language, but we're worried that, well, people are going to think I'm too old to learn a new language, or they're going to laugh at me when I mispronounce the words. I'm worried about whether or not anybody thinks that Swahili is actually beneficial to learn. True story, I spent a summer learning Swahili. I can't say much, but I can say a couple things that actually have come in handy in my life. So know that when we try to move forward in our lives, so often we're held back by the fear of what other people think. We're worried about what other people might care, of what other people might think and how other people might care. So I encourage you to recognize the ways in which your fear of what others might think is holding you back. Remember, caring what others think is not in and of itself a bad thing, but how is that worry? How is that concern for what other people think holding you back in your own life? How is it keeping you from creating the changes that you want to make in your own life? Yes, Kristen, thank you. The fear of judgment is paralyzing. Absolutely. The fear of failure. And what's at the heart of the fear of failure? The fear of what other people will think about your failure. So, yes, 1000%, Kristen. Thank you so much for bringing up those important points. Now, I've got a question for you. What flower do you want to be? What color of flower do you want to be? Let me know. Do you want to be a blue daffodil? Do you want to be a red rose? Drop it in the comments for me. What flower do you want to be? And what color of flower do you want to be? And let's take inspiration from those seeds that are sprouting, that don't give a damn about what anyone else thinks. Don't care about whether or not they fit into the landscape. It doesn't matter if they are a pink lotus in the middle of a pond where there shouldn't be any lotuses. Who cares if they are a white gardenia among all other kinds of gardenias? So what if you're a red rose and you've got pink roses all around you? By the way, Derek, I like the red rose too. Who cares? The flower doesn't care. The flower is blooming, it's growing, it's sprouting, it is opening itself up to the sun, the rain, the sky. It is getting all of the blessings that it can. And it's not worried about what anyone else thinks. It is growing just in the way that it wants to, just in the way that it feels empowered to grow. And so let's be empowered by the changing of the season and the things that are growing. I don't know where you are in the world, but wherever you are in the world, it may very well be spring. Here in central Pennsylvania, it is spring. And spring is a powerful time for the earth when things are blooming, cracking open, growing. Change is everywhere. And changes are powerful times for us to recognize that we can harness the change of the earth and create change in our own life. So, really harnessing that inspiration from the earth and to move forward with the growth in our own life. So, my question for you is, are you ready to be empowered? Are you ready to take inspiration from the blue daffodil? Are you ready to harness the power of the changing earth to create change and transformation in your own life? Drop it in the comments for me if you are ready to grow and change, to bloom and sprout, to transform in whatever way that means to you, whether that's butterfly, glacier, avalanche, or flower. Yes, yes, and yes. It is time to bloom, it is time to transform, and it is time to grow. And if you are ready to grow, I'm excited to tell you that I've got Growth Month coming up starting on April 16th. Growth Month is a program that takes inspiration from the transition to spring, inspiration from the changing earth, inspiration from the blooming and cracking and growing in order to create change and growth and transformation in our own lives. Growth Month is a 4-week program. It's 1 month of live Zoom. Zoom, by the way, works better technologically than Facebook. 4 live Zoom sessions where we can gather to talk about change, encourage one another, and empower ourselves and each other to grow and bloom, to transform, whatever that means to you, however you want to grow in your own life. 4 Zoom sessions, as well as pre-recorded videos for you to watch in between each session on all kinds of transformation topics. So I've just shared with you the number one thing that's holding you back from making change in your life. I'm going to share with you 2 more massive, powerful things that are holding you back from making change in your own life. I'm also sharing with you the ways in which you can move forward past those things. So, practical tips to get you moving and breaking free from the seed to get unstuck and move forward. I'm also sharing with you the Growth Month workbook. This workbook is more than 30 pages of in-depth reflection questions, things like really getting down deep into the dirt of what's holding you back. ways in which you want to change and transform, and how you can move forward with those changes in your own life. So, Growth Month is the 4 live sessions. They're on Sundays at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting on Sunday, April 16th, in 2 weeks. So, those 4 live sessions, more than 2 hours of pre-recorded videos on all kinds of transformation topics. So I talk all about this idea of worrying about what others think holding you back, as well as all kinds of other transformation and change topics, as well as the Growth Month workbook that you can use. Now, you can access that, use that, no matter what the season is. So at any point in your life, you can use the Growth Month workbook. You can view the videos. You will get all of that you can watch and listen in on again and again and again, as many times as you want, long after the program is over, as well as getting recordings of the live sessions too. So all of that is available to you starting on April 16th for the cost less than the cost of one-on-one session with me. So 1 hour one-on-one session. My kitty, Cubby, very excited about this. You can probably hear him getting very excited. Less than the cost of one-on-one session with me. The registration fee for Growth Month is only $95. $95 for a whole month of change and transformation, inspiration and encouragement, the Growth Month workbook, the pre-recorded videos on transformation, and the live group sessions where we can all come together to talk about change and transformation and inspire and encourage one another. And so I'm going to drop the link down below. You can learn more about Growth Month at standingstoneshealing.com/growth. And you can learn more about that program and register. It's a powerful little program. And when I say little, I mean it's a short program, but it's just like that shifting stone. It's just like the beginning of the avalanche. Little is not always so little. Little actually indeed is pretty big. So Growth Month starts on April 16th. It says March. Last year it was in March. This year Growth Month is a little later because of Easter. So I got to start Growth Month after Easter. But I'm super excited about that program, super excited about encouraging your change and transformation, super excited about helping you to get unstuck in practical, common sense, grounded kinds of ways. So I want to say thank you so very much. Please feel free to drop it in the comments for me if you have questions about Growth Month. I want to make sure to say again, I am very sorry for the previous Facebook Live technological challenges. I could not go live in the group. I indeed did go live on Zoom with this workshop live streamed. It's the only way it would work. And you can find that on my page. So I just done this workshop twice. It's awesome. I love it because I'm passionate about talking about these topics, and I'm excited to share with you the encouragement and the empowerment for transformation, moving forward, change, and getting unstuck in your own life. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always happy to answer your questions. And indeed, you will be able to get the replay as well, not only on my page. I'm going to throw it up on the Standing Stones Healing YouTube channel. I don't know, maybe we'll throw up both versions of the workshop. I may indeed also go live again with these topics simply because of our challenges with Facebook Live. So to all of you, I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you navigating the change today along with me. Case in point, right? Navigating change, and we had to make some changes with the workshop. I love it. Isn't that so perfect? And what a case in point. And so, thank you all so very much. I'm sending you lots of blessings and best wishes to all of your changes and to navigating change in your own life. I'm going to go back through, I'm going to read your comments, I'm going to respond to you. So, know that I'm going to say hello and thank you for being here. I truly do appreciate you. And I'm sending you lots of blessings and best wishes. So thank you so much.